your forecast first. Sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Well, the sun was out for a good portion of the day, but the clouds have moved back in. As you can see, that is a look at our roofing dog eye at GIBSON area hospital camera. You notice the clouds there, and also some precipitation trying to show up on radar, albeit very light and almost just a couple of sprinkles there. But I think for the most part, most of us will stay dry here tonight. But definitely, we're seeing that sunshine get replaced by the cloud cover, and as a result, the temperature's a little cooler here, 67 in Champaign compared to the 72 in Springfield and Effingham right now. All right, so look through this evening. Again, an increase in cloud cover, definitely around, but very mild tonight with temperatures in the 50s. Tomorrow, wow, you're going to love the forecast, but major changes on the way. We'll talk about those coming up. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
Now from WCIA 3 News.
Governor Pritzker says he'll consider reopening regions of the state on one condition. Coming up.
People across the state are protesting the governor's stay-at-home order, who met them at the front lines asking them to stand down. And a woman missing for weeks was found murdered. Tonight, we have new details about what her suspected killer is accused of doing.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 5.
Governor Pritzker's new executive order took effect today, keeping Illinois under another order to stay home. Good evening, I'm Paul Cicchini. Hundreds of protesters surrounded the State House and the state government headquarters in Chicago, demanding the governor reopen the state now. Our Capitol Bureau Chief Mark Maxwell reports from Springfield with one important change to this executive order.
Governor Pritzker said he would defend to the death the right of free speech for so many of the protesters who stormed around the Capitol today to protest his decisions, his executive orders about the coronavirus, even when they're wrong, the governor said. He pointed out that many more millions of people in Illinois have stayed home to try to do their part to reduce and slow the spread of the coronavirus, but it does appear he's increasingly sensitive to some of the criticism. For example, he made a last-minute change to his executive order to now include church in small groups as an essential activity.
No, all we were trying to do was to make more explicit that people do have a right to gather in groups of 10 or less. You know, that is the case in the other orders too, but we wanted to make it more explicit that you can worship in a group of 10 or less just as you could, as long as you're socially distancing, to be clear. But we just wanted to make it more explicit, as we have in some other areas of the new order.
All right.
And the governor said he could even make more changes still. Even though his new executive order that takes place Friday morning and lasts through the end of the month, he said he could change that if there's a region of the state, a medical region under the Department of Public Health that shows a 14-day consistent decline in all the many risk factors of the coronavirus. He would consider reopening that region of the state before perhaps Chicago or other parts that may have a hotspot of the coronavirus. A lot of numbers, a lot of data, a lot of facts still changing as the state monitors this COVID-19 pandemic. Reporting in Springfield, Mark Maxwell.
The governor said his decision to reopen state parks today is one small step toward the gradual reopening of downstate. Now, starting today, you have to wear a face covering if you're in public and you can't keep 6 feet of distance from others. It's up to local governments to decide how to enforce it. The Decatur City Council was supposed to vote on a new rule that would give a ticket of up to $500 to those not wearing a mask. But after council members got a lot of negative feedback, the new fine was taken off the agenda.
And I think that it sends the wrong message to the citizens of Decatur that while they are struggling with paying their bills, that we're going to fine individuals $250 to $500 for not wearing a mask.
The ordinance would have also allowed businesses to kick people out who are not wearing masks. The Department of Public Health announced more than 3,000 new cases of coronavirus in the state. That included another 105 people killed by the contagion. More than 56,000 people have tested positive for coronavirus. Nearly 2,500 people in the state have died. Protests against the governor's stay-at-home order were held across the state today. They were met by counter-protesters who say people not staying in are putting their lives at risk. WCIA 3's Gabrielle Franklin has more.
While thousands are out calling on the state to reopen, some nurses are asking the public not to let their guard down just yet. The Illinois Nurses Association is a union of nurses from across the state. Some members made their way to the James R. Thompson Center in Chicago to counter-protest calls to reopen the state. While nurses say they understand how difficult staying inside can be, protesting in mass gatherings is not the right answer.
Some of those people are really hurting economically, and I'm compassionate towards that. I think it's important, though, that instead of causing a potential expansion in the pandemic, that they contact their government officials to demand certain things like economic relief, to demand more testing.
Nurses say if you want to help them during this difficult time, the best thing you can do is stay home. In Springfield, Gabrielle Franklin, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
Nurses in the group are also speaking up about recent furloughs and layoffs. They say they feel healthcare systems need to have an all-hands-on-deck approach instead of considering cuts right now. We have an update tonight. A man in Urbana is not being charged for the death of a 15-year-old after killing him in self-defense. Police say Devontae Brown was among 3 teenagers who tried to break into a home on Pennsylvania Avenue Tuesday night. They say Brown died after being put into a chokehold by a homeowner. The Champaign County State's Attorney says the victim in the home invasion is protected under a self-defense law. The other 2 teenagers are being charged with home invasion and burglary. The State's Attorney says the 2 could have been charged with murder as well, but that's not something her office is pursuing. New at 5, Champaign police are asking for help finding 2 teenage sisters. Police say 15-year-old Erica Kirk and her 14-year-old sister Latrice Kirk willingly left their parents' home. They haven't been heard from in more than 48 hours. If you know where they are, you're asked to call police. We are learning new details tonight about the moments leading up to the death of a woman from Edgar County. The body of Kimberly Mattingly was found in Beecher City on Wednesday. 2 men are charged in connection to her death. Christopher Glass is charged with murder. Aaron Glass with hiding a murder. Courtney Bunting was in court this morning. She has the story tonight.
These details are not easy for family members to hear, even if they knew the information beforehand. Many of them were emotional today, fighting back tears. In court today, Effingham County State's Attorney Brian Kibler revealed more about the days leading up to Mattingly's body being found. She's been missing since early April. Investigators say an interview with Aaron Kaiser helped them piece the story together. Kaiser told investigators Mattingly and Christopher Glass got into an argument the day after her family last heard from her. During that fight, Kaiser said he heard gunshots. When he went to check it out, he saw Mattingly on the ground. Kaiser says he helped Glass bury her on his parents' property in rural Beecher City. Police went there to investigate this week and saw a hand sticking out of the ground in a flooded area. They got a warrant to dig in that area and found Mattingly. The state's attorney says Glass and Mattingly had an on and off relationship. The Effingham County coroner says her cause of death was multiple gunshot wounds. Mattingly leaves behind 3 children. Glass also has 3 and Kaiser has 5. Reporting in Effingham, Courtney Bunting, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
In addition to Glass's murder charges, he's also facing a charge for concealment. Mattingly's mother tells us she just wants justice for her daughter. The vets are still taking care of your animals, while some are taking them outside for a checkup. Plus, you might have been able to head to the putting green today. The changes you need to be aware of, though, before teeing off.